Brachen Hazen. Finally got you on the Gym Rats podcast, bro. How's everything going your way?
It's going well. Not nothing to complain about right now. I mean, especially in times like this. But
What's been going on? Like, obviously, it's a global pandemic, and I know
yeah.
you're at Ball State. Have you guys been able to like work out or anything like that?
I mean, it's been crazy. No, we're not home or not at Ball State. I'm
Okay.
here in home. We were sent home the day we were supposed to play our first conference game, our first conference
Wow.
tournament game. It was the weirdest day of my life, to say the least, for sure. If you
What
you
was
would
the
want me to
what was
tell
the
that?
meeting like? Yeah, what was the meeting like? Like,
Yeah.
did they tell
So
you like, hey guys, you guys got to just go home?
yeah, pretty much. No, we had our shoot around the day. I think we were playing on a Friday or a
Um,
Thursday. It doesn't matter. Uh, we had our shoot around in the morning, and there was always like the night before, the NBA like shut down pretty much, and so we were watching that and the Big Ten tournament. There was talks like, I mean, everyone's got Twitter. We were following along on
right.
Twitter,
Sure.
just hearing how crazy everything was, and so shoot around was weird. Everybody had the feeling that it wasn't like the game wasn't going to happen, but we were still going through everything. We came back to the hotel and we had a film session. And after the film session, our AD walks in and says, our game's getting pushed back an hour. So
Wow.
we were supposed to play at 9 anyway, which is late.
Yeah. So it's
And
like
then
10
we were going to
o'clock.
play at 10. Yeah. And so we
Yeah.
were like, it's not happening because I think Ivy League shut down, obviously. They were the first one to like shut everything down. And then um, Big Ten and SEC had made it so no fans were in or something like that, and so we were like, it's not happening.
Man.
And then our AD comes in and says, we're gonna test everybody and test like your temperature and that sort of thing before we start. So that's where we ended our film session, and they're like, go back to your room and just kind of chill out, like it's
Dude, that's
a regular game
crazy.
day.
Did,
And
have you ever
then
imagined? Oh, no, keep going.
I mean, we were just everyone in our team was just refreshing Twitter, looking at the Mac Twitter account, and finally it was Mac gets canceled, and we were like, okay, so what's going to happen now? We get another meeting, and it's sorry the season had to end like this. Seniors sucks, but pack your stuff. We're heading back to Muncie. So we left
Damn.
Cleveland basically an hour and a half after it got canceled, and we just bust back to Muncie. And I
That's
mean,
crazy.
yeah. And
Have you ever
before
imagined not like like March Madness?
it it was weird. I mean, our team was like in the regular season standings, and so we were playing really well at the end of the season. We all had the confidence level that we're winning this tournament and going to the
Right.
NCAA tournament, and so it sucked. I mean, because we had three really good seniors that were playing extremely well for us, and like the whole team was clicking. So I mean, we were all devastated, and just it was so eerie. It was just a weird day because like all the teams were basically packing up their buses at the same time and just shipping off back to their home base, and it was crazy.
Man, I can't imagine, right? Especially like during this pandemic. Like I went to Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday just to get an ab roller.
Yeah. Dude, I
Because
went I went there too, and
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
weird. It's just weird.
That was like my way of going to the mall
Yeah.
because I hear music, but then everyone has their mask on. So I'm like, do I put my mask on too? So it was really weird.
Mm. No,
Bracken,
I told my fiance. I went with my fiance, and it was just like I I was like, I feel like I'm breaking, law or something. It's just what he's there, or at least when I went
right.
there, it was basically empty. And there's an employee with a mask, and I was like, are we allowed to go in now? And he's like, oh yeah,
Right.
go ahead, shop around. I was like, I'm just gonna get my item and leave. I was
Yeah,
like, I don't
yeah,
want to get here,
it's weird, right?
breaking
It's
laws and
really
stuff.
weird. They're like, we don't have like dumbbells.
Yeah,
Everything was like sold out. I really wanted a Peloton,
yeah,
because I'm like, I don't know when I'll be able to go back to the gym.
yeah.
In the West Coast, in LA, it's like
Mhm.
3 months extended.
Really.
So yeah, so their summer's canceled for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
right now we're still kind of holding out. We have weekly Zoom meetings with the team and everything just to stay connected. And our coach is pretty pretty like we were supposed to go back May 24th, and he's like, that's not gonna happen.
What do you think about all these Zoom calls? Like conversations like this are the norm.
Because like if we were talking in person, it's just a completely different feel. I mean, you don't get that personal aspect pretty much. I mean, you know, it's different dynamics when you're in person. But I mean, when I first started these Zoom meetings, you know, no one really did Zoom meetings. You saw like Cisco commercials like, oh, if you're talking to somebody across the world, you can do this. But now I'm talking to people that are an hour away from me or 45 minutes away from me. And it's just like, it sucks. I'm a people person. I love being around people. And so I miss my team. I want to be around my team, around the guys. But I mean, definitely everyone's forced to, you know, learn how to use technology. I mean, thank goodness we have this tool, because I don't know what I would do without it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm scrolling all the time on Twitter, Instagram, refreshing the page, Facebook, and everyone has the same content. I'm watching The Last Dance, and people are just reminiscing 30 years ago because we have nothing currently to talk about. What have you? I saw you went to Arkansas. How is that? Like, what went into that decision? Because for me, like Indiana, I always believe that Indiana kids should stay in Indiana or the region. So it's always an interesting story when someone goes that far out. So what all went into that decision?
I had an ego. I had a huge ego back in high school.
Okay.
And I mean, everybody was telling me, I'm not blaming anybody. Like I had confidence in myself that I could play at a higher major, and Indiana, Purdue didn't recruit me or anything like that. Notre Dame, none of the high major Indiana schools recruited me. And I grew up. It's weird. I grew up in a family that like our world didn't revolve around sports. So like I had no pressure from my parents to like, you know.
Same here.
They always told me like you don't have to do basketball if you don't want to. Like my dad
we'll still love you.
Like, yeah, exactly. So like I never felt pressure from them, which is great. And so like, and like I said, we didn't grow up huge sports fans. Like anybody around here is either Purdue or IU basketball fan. And like we like watching sports, but we never were diehard fans. So I never felt like personally attacked if IU or Purdue didn't recruit me. There was no issue with that. But yeah, like I said, I had an ego. I wanted to go high major. I thought, you know, I was ready to play at that level and that sort of thing. And selfishly, I was like, I think I'll challenge myself a little more if I go to Arkansas. And so I went to Arkansas. I went on a recruit, my official visit, and I was stupid and committed right on the spot. I didn't go home and take time to think about it. I got a little persuaded by that. But I loved my experience at Arkansas. I mean, it was so fun.
I hear the campus is really dope.
Oh, it's sick. It's super. It's a tough one to walk around though, because it's on the top of a hill, and like my dorms were luckily on top of the hill, but all the athletic facilities are at the bottom. So after practices, I was trying to bum rides from my teammates who had cars just to get me up that hill. But no, I loved every aspect of being at Arkansas. I mean, the coaches were great, teammates were great, experience was awesome. I mean, being down south is awesome. And Fayetteville, the area where Arkansas University is.
Right.
It was great. But the reason I decided to actually transfer was, you know, I after being in the program, I was like, I don't think my style is gonna, the way that I want to play or whatever isn't really gonna fit here very well. And I saw guys ahead of me, and I was like, they're probably gonna play ahead of me the rest of my time here.
Right.
Whatever like that. And so, and plus I'm a homebody, like I said, I love being around my family. And I was like, I'd rather go closer to home. And Ball State, I feel bad for the way that I actually kind of just shoved off Ball State to the side. Honestly, they were with me the whole entire time. I don't know if you know this, but I actually committed to UCF first before Arkansas. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I was trying to look for articles. I committed to
find that much. Central Florida. I committed to Central Florida. Then their coach got fired, and I was like, I don't want to go there. Donnie, what's his name? Johnny Dawkins became the coach, and I didn't have a relationship with him, so I decommitted. Then went to Arkansas. so I kind of have had a weird path to Ball State, but they stuck with me after I decommitted from UCF, and it was down to Arkansas and Ball State, and I still chose Arkansas. So when I decided to transfer, I knew in my head I wanted to go right to Ball State, but I was honestly like nervous that they weren't going to want me. Like, no, you didn't want to be with us right away. We don't want to be with you. But Whit came to like a ton of my AAU games, went to a bunch of my high school games, and so I had built a relationship with him before I even got there, and he still accepted me with open arms, which was awesome. And so I landed there in second summer session. I'm sorry, and just went from there. But it was a roller coaster. I love where I'm at. I mean, my coaches, the teammates, everything like that. It's awesome being back in Indiana.
Do you tell kids now that's coming under you, like, hey, kid, like, you got to go where you love? Like, I've been through the grind and I've been through the experience. Like, I played at the highest level in grassroots. I was a top 50 in the country in my position. Don't go there. But do you see social media plays a big factor in like kids' decisions right now?
Huge. Everybody wants that graphic of how many like high major offers they have. Everybody wants that. Like, and I was never like that person, but deep in I wouldn't at least verbally say it. Deep down, I was like, I want to go to the high major. And everybody told me exactly what you said. Go where you're going to be wanted, needed, and you're going to play. And I just brushed it off like, I'll work my way into that position. And everybody, like, there's different stories. This is just my personal opinion. Like, it's way more fun to play than sitting on the bench. I mean,
no doubt.
So, like, go where you're going to play. And I had an Instagram takeover on the Ball State page, and one of the kids asked, like, what's your biggest regret out of, like, high school recruitment? And I said, not going where I was going to be needed, pretty much. Ball State had a need, and my ego took over, and
the egos is something in life you would know that you have to humble yourself to really be successful in the next stage of your life. Dad Mata, my freshman year, told me, he said, hey, Rico, when I tell kids who come on campus, even if they don't pick Ohio State, you should want to wake up every morning in your dorm happy to be here. And that stuck with me. And I was like, when I was at DePaul and I wasn't playing and I tore my ACL and I was waking up and that message resonated with me at that time, I said, man, I'm going to have to make adjustments. And so I definitely feel you. And a lot of players in Indiana look for the big name because, like I said, social media, the likes, the comments, the kids are putting the top 5 schools they should go to. And that they're getting influenced by that, dude. And I'll be like, you're in for a rude awakening going somewhere where you're not needed.
For sure.
When you were in college, obviously, before that, you was playing with gym rats. How did you cross paths with Jared and Jamal and just the whole gym rats organization?
It's not that weird story. I mean, I grew up, I was playing on like a little Hoosier Select Wolfpack team with my high school and my coach and Jared had Jared's head coach in high school were really close with Benedict, which that might not be any guys know, but my high school coach. And so Benedict said, Jared, come watch Brachen Player, and we got a couple guys that you might be interested in. And after one of the games, Jared went up to my parents and was like, hey, I think Brachen would be a good fit for gym rats or Species in the Heat, and we'd like to have him come to a workout and, basically try out. And the way Jared tells it is my parents were skeptical. My mom was like,
yeah, it's Jared. Right.
You want Brachen to go? Did you just watch him play? That's just the type of person my mom is. I like to describe my mom as like one of those little kids that is not scared to like tell you how you look.
Yeah. She's pretty straightforward.
Tells it honestly and truthfully. Exactly. And so I my parents came back and said, hey, there's this opportunity. We think you should take it. And I was skeptical myself. I was like, I don't know if I'm able to play at that level. Because I think I was in 7th grade at the time. And they were it was at the end of my 7th grade year or whatever. And they were like, going into your 8th grade, I think you should look and go to this tryout and this workout. And I reluctantly went. And after I went, I was like, those kids are good. Like it was a different level that I had never experienced up until that point. And I wasn't scared. I was like more excited than anything. I was like, okay, this is the level of competition that I think is going to challenge me and that I want to be around. And so I got selected to be on the 8th grade, Indy Heat team. And that was one of the best choices I've made at that age, for sure. It wasn't even close. I had so much fun being with those kids. I mean, I was on the team with Biggie, Caleb Swanigan. He was on there for like 3 games, and then they moved him up. But there was like Reggie Tharp, VJ Blackman, all these local kids that, you know, I knew of and like had seen them play at the field house. But it was just a blast being a part of that team. But it was really, really cool because the 17U team, which is like the oldest team, that was like Juwan, Trey Lyles, James Blackman, Jaquan Lyles, all these dudes that are like legends pretty much of the Gym Rats team. And I got to watch them pretty much every weekend, like had a front row seat. It was just great basketball. I was also one of those kids that my parents kind of taught me, like, if you start something, you're not going to quit it. And
True.
So there were definitely weekends where I was like, I don't belong here. I mean, it wasn't just smooth sailing for me. During a game or weekend, and I was like, I'd rather just go back to Hoosier Select and, you know, be the best one on the floor for the weekend. And they're like, you know, that's not going to stretch you. That's not going to grow you. And so I pushed through it, ended up being with Indy Heat the rest of my AAU career. And it was the relationships I've built have been awesome. I mean, I'm still in contact with Jamal, with Jared, that sort of thing. I'm super, super thankful for like all that they've done for me, because they definitely helped push me to get to where I'm at right now, for sure.
You played on a UIBL circuit too.
Yeah, I played there for, I think it was 1 year, maybe 2. No, just 1 year. I was just on it 1 year. Yeah.
How was that experience though? Like, it's sick. It's like a whole different.
That was eye opening for sure. I mean, I've oh man. I don't know if you know Kyle Mallers. He's a Carroll kid, played at Ball State.
Okay.
He teammate for 3 years, and our first experience at EYBL was pretty eye opening. I mean, we love telling the story about how Kyle's claim to fame is that he had his best AU game ever against Jason Tatum, and that he held Jason Tatum to like 20 points. He's like, nice. I held like an NBA All-Star to 20 points in the AU game. Yeah. So that's funny. But no, I got my fair share of posters. Not me dunking it, but me getting dunked on. That's for sure.
But you have opposite though. Like CJ Walker threw you a lot of alley-oops, and you caught a lot of tip dunks. So I'm gonna give you your flowers.
Yeah, that was post back. That was post back injury Bracken for sure. I mean, I get made fun of by Kyle, who's seen me in my prime, back in my prime when I could actually leap a little bit.
I tore my ACL, and that's grueling. My freshman year, doing rehab twice a day, getting into it with the physician. I don't want to be here. Yeah. What was that injury process like for you? Because you had a couple.
I have what's called a pars fracture, and there's this little crack on the bone that sticks out on your spine. I had that my freshman year of high school, and that actually, back then I was still growing, so the doctor was like, don't do anything. And so I had to sit out my freshman year of high school, and that was hard for me because I was able to do summer workouts and everything, but it was like day 1 of practice that I found out, don't do anything. And so I was like basically on varsity, and our team was poised to go to state, make a state run. But so I had to sit out then, and that was tough. That was the first injury I'd ever really had where I had to sit out and couldn't do anything. And as a freshman, I mean, I'm at the discretion of my parents. And so
yeah, absolutely.
obey them, listen to them, even though I didn't want to. But getting back to more in like more advanced level, like at the college level, I was injured. So after my redshirt year, and so I had no pain, no problem at all. My redshirt year, I was able to practice the whole entire season. Uh, and then going into my sophomore year, I got into, I think, 5 games, and there was a game at IUPUI, and after the first half, I wasn't able to walk because of my back. It was seizing up so bad, and so I went to the doctor, the physician. He was like, pars fracture on the other side of where I had my previous injury. And so I had to sit out until there were about 6 games left again. And it was definitely because, I mean, mentally I had prepared myself to play a full season up until I got injured. And, I was playing pretty decent until those first 6 games, and having fun, having a blast, being with all the guys, playing out there. And so having to sit out wasn't fun. I mean, no one likes to be injured, but it was one of those, a back injury, it's where you can't do anything. Like, I wasn't able to stand up or like jog or anything. I couldn't do anything. I wasn't really able to lift that much. And so mentally, I could just feel myself, losing any conditioning that I had, any skill that I had. And so, I mean, luckily I had really good coaches that were encouraging and didn't just forget about me. I know I hear horror stories where, like, if you get injured, like, you just completely feel like you're alone and no one really cares. But my coaches were right there checking in with me every single day, asking how treatment was going, asking how they could help me. So I got really lucky with that. And so injuries aren't fun. They're never fun.
No, it's not. My coach, Oliver Purnell, when I was at DePaul, he over-recruited me when I got injured. He brought in a kid who was from the hometown, and he was in my position. He had played at University of Illinois, coming from the Big Ten in my position. I mean, you know the answer. My playing time, the possibility if I recover, and I recovered in 10 months. And I hit rock bottom once I saw this kid was coming in my position, because I know the business. And Jared influenced me to go to JUCO. And my confidence was at the lowest because playing in the EYBL in grassroots, the highest level, AJ Hammonds, Kellen Dunhams, the Rayfield Davis, is like, I'm with all the top players in the country and I'm in JUCO. No, and I play for Speech. Like, Speech kids, we don't go to JUCO, but that's the ego. The ego has to leave. And that's when I found my home in Morehead State in Kentucky. Best decision I've ever made. And then I keep the photo right here because the love I get there, and being from Indiana, my head coach was from Indiana. He was from my neighborhood. So it was a blessing. And the ego, when you hurt, your confidence. But I go back, though, thankful for my core team, Bracket. And that's why I was super happy when we selected you to come on and just share your journey, bro, because this is a story that a lot of us here in the Indiana itself can relate to, and outside of Indiana.
I mean, there's a ton of good mid-major schools around this in Indiana, around this state that are dying for players from Indiana. I mean, you hear Belmont. Belmont was one of the schools that kind of recruited me. Never offered me, but they recruited me. They had like 9 of their 13 kids were from Indiana.
They were in my conference.
Yeah. The OVC players from Indiana are like sought out from other people, or from other programs, and that you shouldn't be Scared. Sorry, someone's calling me.
No, you're fine.
My brother.
I know you're on a go bracket. Who are the people that really like shaped you to be the person you are today? Who would you give that credit to?
I mean,
you've been through hell and back.
Yeah. I've had some great parents. My parents shaped me into who I am. I give all the credit to them. I've also had, like, my high school coach, I've mentioned him. He was the first coach that wasn't afraid to, like, yell at me. He was the first.
There you go.
I grew up in a family where we watched our language. We were nice to each other. You're going to treat each other with respect. This high school coach was the first one to, like, cuss me out. And, you know, he just taught me how to toughen up pretty much and take criticism. And so I give a lot of credit to Chris Benedict. And then, you know, all the guys at Spies, you know, Jamal and Jared, tons of workouts with them. I mean, I remember one time, Jared was always setting up workouts, and we normally have some runs at McKellen Park or whatever, where the where Matt Ants work out. Okay. And he told pickup game going on there. He's like, be there at this time. And I had a girlfriend, and this is in high school. I think I'm a junior, and I don't show up. I text him, like, not gonna make it, and he says he calls me and says, get your butt over here and ditch your girlfriend. You're gonna get better today. And he's been on my butt about, you know, just continuing to push myself, that sort of thing, and having confidence that I you know, can be good if you just put your mind to it. Pretty much, you know, have the work ethic. So yeah, my parents, coaches, these guys that, you know, have shaped me and made a big influence on my life for sure.
Well, man, I appreciate you just sharing that and giving the Gym Rats audience just your journey. You know what I mean? Like I said, your story resonates with so many people. Like, he went at the high major, it didn't work out. And we talked about the ego and how the ego can get in the way in your journey. So I'm rooting for you, bro. And thank you so much just for coming on a podcast, bro.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.